Okay, so this week we're kicking off with Berserker number 3. Sorry, um, and again, Keanu Reeves, Matt Kindt, Ron Garney, Bill Crabtree, writers, art, colors, and this week actually had. Oh wait, no, yeah, pencils were Ron Garney, and then colors were Bill Crabtree. But so this one is interesting. The shocking history of B is revealed as Diana digs deeper into his memories. Meanwhile, the mysterious Caldwell makes his next move to take advantage of this information and put his master plan into motion. We got to see. So last month with Berserker, we got to see B being born,
Mm-hmm.
and it was really interesting. And this time we kind of get to see the aftermath of what he's responsible for in their region of the planet. And we get to the point where we learn why he doesn't talk, which is really cool.
Yeah, and very, I think it was like the tail end of last episode or last issue where they were kept building him up, like saying, "Am I ready yet? Am I ready yet?"
Right.
And now he was finally ready, and then you see not just one attack on one tribe, but you see his father basically using him as, and I think the term is inute or something along those, like weapon or tool.
Right.
And I thought it was just very interesting because it started off as, pray to the gods to give us this to help prevent us from being wiped out by our enemies. And, again, the whole absolute power thing happens in the sense of you have this ultimate weapon in B, and what does his father do with it?
Conquers the world.
Yes.
So I think it's really summed up on what page is this? On page 17, when B is asking his dad, "Did I do well?" And he says, "Son, yes." And he says, "This is good," and this is good. It's a question. And his dad says, "If we spared the women and children, they would only have raised children into men bent on destroying our valley, and the children would never forget." So you're getting this view into like what's happening here with his dad, and he says, "I don't forget." B says to his dad, "I don't forget either. There's only one thing I don't remember, Father. I don't remember you being there in the cave with Mother. Who is he?" And he says, "He." And he says, "Who is my father?" And it's really kind of like interesting that B in this moment is having this introspective, like, or existential, sorry, like, who am I? Where am I from? Like, who is all of this? And they have the conversation about, you're not my dad, whatever. And then there's another lightning bolt later, and and he asks, what has she done? And then we get the, like, kind of the last kind of big battle with B where his dad is pulling out the arrows, and he says, "You're my son as much as she is your mother. Know that we love you, and we would be nothing without you. We would never do anything to hurt you." And then it comes to the dialogue from the present. He stopped talking after that. He needed a break. The important thing is he wants to remember. He is remembering. And yeah, so it's the doctor and Caldwell, and they're talking. And one lightning strike would be a singularity. 2 means it's reproducible. It's like, oh my God, what are these idiots gonna do?
Yeah.
I'm so happy. Like, as I was reading this, I was super happy when like that you reminded me of this book, because I probably wouldn't have picked it up, because it's like, oh God, another celebrity, writing a comic, and I don't know how much Keanu is involved. I would assume a lot because his name's on it, and he's one of those guys that puts a value on his name. But man, this is just great. I mean, this is, for Boom, this is a flagship book. This is a book that I think could legitimately go for 5 years, 60 issues, ish, depending on, like, if they can keep the pace up. But Yeah, I mean, and it's the way it's unfolding over three episodes, 3 issues. I see, I do it too. Over 3 issues, we've learned a lot, but we still have a lot to learn. And just rolling it out like this, I don't know how you feel about it, but I think this is just one of my favorite comics right now.
I agree. And on the rollout part, a lot of times you can tell when a story is purposefully holding back and spoon feeding you, and it kind of disrupts the flow because because they don't do as good of a job as this book does in saying, yes, we know there's a lot still they're holding back, but the way that they unfold the story, it makes sense of why we're not getting everything at once, or it really, because this is a simple story right now, but there's a lot of complex issues underlying that we haven't gotten to yet.
Right.
That's good. And to your point, as far as like why you said you could see this going, 5 years or so, and it's because of the complexity underneath of the simplistic story that we've gotten so far, and how many things they can do with this that really, the sky's the limit for a book like this, just because, again, it's telling a story and not trying to, spoon feed you a message like we say all the time.
Yeah, and I mean, even at the very end of it, with the learning about the protocols that they have for B, and you see there's an adjustment to the protocol in the very last panel where the soldier drops 2 pills into his hand, and he says, "New protocol adjustment 2 this time," and it's like, oh, okay, so like, again, he's not a part of this unit. They're studying him. They're using him. They're, and I think that's great. I like, it was such a cool little reveal. Like, I'm sure most people are like, oh, I saw that coming and whatnot. And it's like, okay, fair enough. I mean, it's not a surprise necessarily, but it's still like, it was a really cool moment to be like, okay, we're doing this. And then it happened immediately. It wasn't like, oh, okay, well, we'll wait till he gets back. No, he's in the field, and they're like, drop.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm really curious to see like what that leads to, like what's in these medications. And, I know it's similar to kind of like the stabilizing, because again, if you go back to the past and that last city that they conquered, and the soldiers were like, okay, we're done.
Right.
And then he's like, no, father said no one. And I mean, he goes Darth Vader on the younglings. So like that was one of the things a couple of questions as far as, what are these meds stabilizing his mood, preventing, kind of keeping him in check, or what? So,
right.
And again, what's Caldwell's end game?
Yeah. I don't know. It's really cool. I like I said, I really like it. I want to see more. I just want to know. Here's the thing is I want to see more, and I say I want to know, but at the same time, like, I want it to unfold for me,
right?
The way it's unfolding. So, and Matt Kindt is a great comic book writer. I mean, Keanu is super creative. So, I feel like I judged a book by its cover, by saying, oh, it's just another celebrity. When in reality, like I should have remembered who I was dealing with, because we're both big fans of Keanu. So
yeah, and I'm only a matter of time. And again, I haven't looked this up or anything along those lines, but what they're going to be doing in the sense of movie, TV series, streaming, whatnot, animated. I mean, I would love to see this as an animated.
I would prefer to see this animated, as long as Seth Rogen's not attached to it. I had after we recorded last month about issue 2, I went and watched some reviews, and I forget which channel it was, but they were talking about how this is essentially just their Netflix pitch. Like, this comic is their Netflix pitch, and fair enough. But if I'm Netflix or Amazon or Apple or whoever, like I feel like Apple would benefit the most from something like this, right? It's a big budget, like action, gory, Keanu Reeves led story, and
they don't have anything like that on their platform.
They really don't. I mean, it's a lot of comedy, a lot of drama, but looking at this, I agree with you. Animation, I feel like, would be the way to go, because there's a lot you can do, and you don't have to worry about Keanu turning 60, 65, 70 years old. You just like, he can show up and do his voice. He can knock out a whole, because B doesn't talk a whole lot. So, I mean, he could knock out all of his lines for a season in probably an afternoon, and get that done. So, but when I was, like listening to people talk about that and saying, oh, this is just their Netflix pitch. It's like, I think you're doing a disservice to what the comic is doing. Because if it was a Netflix pitch, they would have just laid everything out in the first issue. Everything out in the first issue. And you know, while, yes, I agree, like, this is a show that they want to Netflixify or whatever, like, verb we want to make up for that. This is a book that needs to just, you know, breathe, and like, let's give it 2 years before like we really think like, hey, let's make a TV series now. So
yeah.
All right. So out of 5 purposeful lightning strikes, what do you give it?
I give it a 3. Another solid outing. Again, it's one of those where it's a simple story, and while I loved seeing the past, I do want to catch up more in the present with B. And again, I know that's the, you know, not the potential, but that's where they're going.
Right.
We're gonna start getting more of B in the present. We're gonna start getting more of what Caldwell wants. So this is another solid outing.
Yeah.
I probably like the first 2 issues a little bit better, but again, this is a very connective story, and I really like how everything is unfolding.
Yeah. I'm gonna go 3.5. I liked it a little more than you. I like the stuff in the past. I think it's doing a great like world foundation building. The other thing is I like just the subtle differences in the coloring between the past and the present.
Yes.
Everything in the past is a red orange. Everything in the present is a blue purple. And I really like that. It's minor, it's little, but it's a care in the storytelling, especially with the sequential visual medium that is comics.
Yes. And I forgot to mention, I really like how the art does such a great job of marrying itself to the story.